In time of war, culture has to be a scream.
Russia's war against Ukraine is an outrage of the conscience of humanity.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course. And I'm your host, Myroslava Yaremkiv. Despite being under attack, Ukrainian journalists, writers, artists, and cultural rights defenders continue to make art, write, and contribute to Ukrainian culture. Translators and members of the free press ensure that the realities of life in Ukraine and the impact of Russia's violence are broadcast to the world. The diary entries, essays, poems, independent reporting, and street art are central to rebuilding Ukraine when the war is over. In today's episode, we're going to continue talking about cultural resistance and solidarity in the face of Putin's obsessive idea of destroying Ukraine and eradicating its cultural identity. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. On February 24th, the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the world of culture reaffirmed throughout Europe its solidarity with Ukraine and Ukrainian people. More than 30 internationally known artists and thinkers spoke in 10 European cities, replying to the question, how can we help Ukraine and Europe win the cultural war that Russia is waging against them? From universities to theaters, from publishing houses to cinema and visual arts, European cultural artists were mobilizing with what they know how to do best, their words, their ideas, and their imaginations. This public event created a chain of visible cultural solidarity for all, with filmmaker Agnieszka Holland, writer Jonathan Little, poet Omar Suleiman, and novelist Oksana Zabushko. I suggest you listen to the opening speech of this cultural forum by the host of this event, Mathieu Lericq.
Vladimir Putin and Russian army against the sovereign and independent country of Ukraine precisely 1 year ago. An occasion to gather cultural figures and activists from all over Europe who will share their feelings and thoughts about the terrible situation faced by Ukrainian state and Ukrainian citizens all over Europe. It sounded extremely important for the participants of this event to underline the solidarity that we feel, that they feel about the people of Ukraine. This forum will connect many European capitals: Tbilisi, Sofia, Bucharest, Warsaw, Gdansk, Krakow, Vienna, Madrid, Roma, Brussels, Berlin, and Paris. May I particularly salute you, dear Tatiana and Constantin, and all the persons present around you in Kyiv tonight. The organizers of this event wish to thank every institutions involved, especially the Crisis Media Center, the Organisation pour l'Ukraine and pour la liberté et la nôtre, but also the Organisation pour la défense de la démocratie en Pologne and Aix-Marseille University for its logistical and technical support. I am Mathieu Lericq, live from Paris, Agency for Artists in Exile. I have the task to lead the forum that will last until 10 p.m., more or less. We will listen to more than 30 contributors in several languages, whose translation of their abstracts in English will be published in the chat.
Such European forums are a united and powerful response to Russian barbaric aggression on the cultural front in the civilizational war which Putin has launched. The policy of destruction and elimination of Ukrainian identity is one of Russia's key elements in the war against Ukraine. In our temporarily occupied territories, Russian invaders closed Ukrainian schools and imposed their language and history. Just like they did for centuries regarding Crimean Tatars whose cultural heritage, history, and traditions were simply denied. Alexis Nuselovici, professor of general and comparative literature, will talk about culture as a proof of freedom and invincibility of a nation, and how we should all act together when there is a fire in the middle of Europe.
Ukrainian Forum, Culture and Resistance. Culture is a whisper Culture is a scream. Culture could be a whisper. Culture could be a scream. Culture should be a whisper. Culture should be a scream. It depends. In times of peace, culture is a whisper, like in museums, like in libraries, a whisper of the past, which comes to soothe us. But in time of war, culture has to be a scream. The scream of Goya in his scenes of war, the scream of Picasso in Guernica, the scream of Lorca, of Mandelstam, all the dead poets, the murdered poets. We have to face two notions, two concepts, culture of war and culture at war. Culture of war, that's Putin's definition of culture. He's grounding his own personal identity and Russia's identity on the idea of war. It's a culture of war, and against it, culture has to resist. Culture at war. Because when Putin is attacking Ukraine, he's attacking Ukrainian identity, Ukrainian culture, but culture in general as well. As all dictators know, culture is a resistance against any dictatorship. So we have to react. We have to react as cultural actors, cultural agent on the stage of culture in Europe. We have to react in support of Ukraine as well as because we are threatened by Putin. That's why a cultural support for Ukraine should not be cosmetic, superficial. Murals in Western cities, Ukrainian music concert, exhibit of Ukrainian artists, they're fine. They may raise awareness by touching individuals, but this kind of individual cultural reaction is not enough. Culture should exert a constant pressure on public opinions, for public opinions to exert pressure on governments. Culture, times of war, should constantly scream day after day. Do not sleep quietly in your sweet beds, in your sweet dreams. In Ukraine, people are killed, children are deported, cities are destroyed, mass murders, war crimes, genocide. Culture should scream out those words. If the world keeps being blind and deaf, culture is not a private matter. As Hannah Arendt explained, culture is public. It's a common thing, and it creates a common thing, like politics. Like politics. The cultural fight is not along the political and the army fight. It's part of the general fight. Culture is not a private matter. It's a common thing. And culture, it's also what relates the past and the present. Culture is a synonym of memory. And it's because Putin wants to erase Ukrainian and European memory that we, people of culture, we have to recall, to react and to defend culture. Culture is what remains. Culture is then a proof of freedom. We have to act as free people. To borrow Walter Benjamin's image, culture is a fire alarm. There is a fire in Europe now. We have to be alarmed. We have to be the actors of this alarm.
This February 24 event laid the foundations of a permanent forum as part of the new humanist movement, bringing together intellectuals and activists from different countries, claimed by Alexandra Matviichuk in her Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech. One of the missions of cultural solidarity is to demonstrate support of Ukrainian people in their daily trials, help them win the war ideologically, and prepare for the future in the common cultural field. Constantin Sigov, philosopher and one of the organizers of this forum, will share his thoughts about the importance of cultural solidarity in general, and especially now, in the times of the biggest war in Europe since World War II.
I think it's very important today to be together. For us, for all citizens of Ukraine, all citizens of Europe and of mankind, to notice that 141 country presented and UN voted in favor of a resolution condemning Russia and demanding the immediate withdrawal of troops from Ukraine. Only 6 countries against. So it's not only the West, it's a real human kind. You remember the Universal Declaration of Rights and Freedom adopted in Europe, but addressing all members of human family, I quote, and which condemns barbaric acts and that have outraged the conscience of humanity. In short, Russia's war against Ukraine is an outrage of the conscience of humanity. Russia is at war with humanity, so this conflict is not only with the West, but with the member of the human family, and all culture invited today to be together, to express your solidarity.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!